Hello, and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Rain Dunnigan.
And man, I've been on a good streak of getting this latest Pizza Boys issue kind of done. I mean, nothing like... There was one magical moment where I made one of those issues, like, from beginning to end in literally 2 months. And I think it was if I'm not mistaken, that was the skateboarding and video game addiction issue. That one was like that. All cylinders were firing. It was coming in hardcore. I literally started working on it as I was finishing the previous one or whatever. It was just it just flooded into each other like a nice fade in, like it was an old school movie. And yeah, it kind of did. But sometimes, most of the time you don't get that. Actually, no other time other than that have I ever got it where you're just going so hardcore at it. But at the same time, at least now I feel like I'm chugging along on some pages. I mean, it's just in that penciling part, just in that kind of section. So it's not it's that thing where you're like, man, I'm 12 pages in. I still got to ink them though. Still got to do the rest of the lettering. You get that part too, where it's just there's that. But still, I feel like I'm making progress every day. And I kind of like this feeling of getting that going.
Well, to relate to that, because I haven't really put, as far as drawing go, as far as a comic goes, I haven't put pen to paper in a while. But as far as just when you're working on a drawing, you get that vibe going, and you're just let me just crank this thing out just a little bit more, a little bit more, and finish it. So I do remember those days back when I worked on more comics. There would be that thing where you're just kind of on the same panel for half a day, what the fuck, and then by the time you get to a certain point, it looks like shit, and then at some point you come back to it and you're able, or then you just find those other days you're able to get multiple pages done in one day. And some people well, yeah, I'm just naturally gifted. I can knock out a whole comic in a day. That's good for you. But I mean, for me, 1 page a day is amazing. But if I can get 2 or 3 done in a day, that's oh my God,
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of it too. It's there's that thing of, as I said, you go back to when you see those manga artists or whatever, and it's the doing the 19 pages a week thing. And I don't know. Granted, I feel there is those nameless assistants that it's never spoken of, doesn't appear in the credits or anything like that, And that's the thing is, I'd almost want to see how much work do those nameless assistants do, or is it just the Japanese guy just fucking throwing a ball against the wall and just be okay, so this is what I'm thinking for my story, just not even working at all. Just fucking over there playing fucking Street Fighter 2 on Super Nintendo, just being okay, I got another idea. Just rips a fart. Yeah, you fucking draw that down right now. Yeah. Are we going to work today? Well, you're going to work, and I'm going to try to figure out how to beat Akuma, so fuck off.
So here's what's going to happen, okay? The stretchy arm guy with the straw hat. Luffy? Yeah, him. The main character? I fucking know. Yeah, him.
It's my fucking book. I wrote it. I should know this.
He's gonna fall into the water, but they can't swim because they ate the fruit. You wrote the fucking book. All right, cool. All right, yeah.
Yeah, get back to fucking putting those tones in there. Tone Boy, get over here. Oh, I have a name. No, it's Tone Boy now.
I imagine it's one of those things take your lumps, do this for a while, and then by then you're learning at the feet of the masters, and then hopefully you could do your own book, unless you're one of those guys who's just doing tones and shading for uncredited, for years,
And just I'm content at this place, this is, Dad always said I wouldn't amount to much, and I think he was right. I found my calling. I'm the tones, and I fill in the blacks. I know it's digital, so I use a paint bucket tool now, but I still feel proud of my work.
I get to do the explosions whenever there's a big shonen-esque battle in the background. Yeah. No, there's also, well, it's kind of one of the, I wonder if it's a thing like Scientology to a certain extent, because I've seen a couple documentaries on it by this point, and there's that period where it's okay, not everyone's going to be Tom Cruise. There's going to be, they bring people in saying we can unlock your whatever energy in alien bullshit. Yeah. And then they kind of say, you'll go up the ladder, but then they have no intention to have these particular people go up the ladder. No, this guy's good. He's good at arranging Tom Cruise's Blu-ray collection. All right. This guy's good at polishing his jet. That's all they're ever going to do. Okay. We're going to promise them things. We're going to say they can move up, but that's all they're going to fucking do. So I'm wondering if there's something like that in the Japanese manga industry. Because I'll be honest, I don't know manga artists' names. Like I know American comic names, but at the same time, I'm wondering how often they go up the ladder onto the next thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, you know, as I said, it's got the old school, like, sort of like you start as the protege and you learn from the master, kind of kung fu style, which I always think that is a cool way of learning. You know what I mean? Like, if that is the case, not like an internship. Internship always just seems like a way of free labor. Let's be honest. Internship means slave labor. It's, you know what I mean? Like that's what that is. But I feel like if it's like you take it as a job, like, oh, it's a young, prospering, like, you know, child. He's ready to learn the ways of the art. You know, so now sharpen my pencils, boy. You are 14 years old. When you are 15, I will allow you to, you know, fill in the blanks here. When you are 16, you can now be the tone artist. When you're 17, you're going back to getting coffee. I want you to be humbled and wonder what to do with your life. You were going so far up, and now you feel like you've just been demoted. But then when you're 18, well, what's going to happen when I'm 18? We'll think about it when we get there. I don't even know if I like you yet. You got the job, but that's as far as it's going.
He's like, one quick question. Do I sharpen the pencils clockwise or counterclockwise? Listen to yourself, boy.
Put your finger in there. You tell me what it is. Should I go counter or should I go regular? I don't want my finger to go there. Like, tell me, boy, what's the right proper way?
Grabs by the back of the head, like, you know, it's like the Yakuza. You gotta like sever. You gotta give him a finger in the manga industry. You gotta like go into like the sharpener.
Yeah, exactly.
You fuck up like this again, it's your dick going in there.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. But yeah, the way of working up in that good old fashioned way, you know, it's like there's something about that I definitely feel like, you know, it kind of, you know, it's just like a martial arts movie, I guess. It does have that kind of cool thing. When you're older, though, I can't imagine, like, you know, you wouldn't want to be that guy that shows up there as like the older guy, but like, oh, I'm here to sharpen pencils for this 22-year-old guy who just happened to get lucky because, you know, half those manga people always talk about like, well, I submitted my first manga when I was still in high school, you know, and group, you know, high school version 7 or whatever, because they always have weird like numbers after their high school. Like, I'm never too sure exactly. Like, high school feels like it lasts longer in Japan.
Well, I mean, maybe it also feels like high school lasts longer in Japan because like 90% of the manga and shows take place in high school. So, but at the same time, I'll say like every so often going on the younger artist, and it's not, there's no like ill will or anything towards it, but there is that thing where you're looking at Instagram, like, oh my God, this person is so good. They're fucking 19. Jesus Christ. God, what the fuck have I been doing?
they hit it hard. I don't know. I was literally listening to a podcast though, and it had Kyle Starks, the guy who did like Sex Castle, and he also did that that one I just told you about, the fucking 6 sidekicks of what the fuck was that guy's name?
It's a martial arts thing you told me about. Yeah. Sidekicks.
Hey, well, one of the things is martial law, but I can't remember Tucker Keaton or something like that. 6 sidekicks of that, but whatever. Like, great, fantastic, amazing book. Like, I thought that was like just awesome. And I always like those Kyle Stark ones and so on like that. But I like when he said he's like, oh yeah, I started making comics at 36 years old. It's like, oh, there you go. That's all you need. It's nice to hear that. It's like sometimes you hear too many of those ones where it's just like, you know, there's like that verse, like, oh, you know, like it's like, you know, like I started when I was 2, and next thing you know, by the time I was 13, I was already on my 6th series. You're like, oh, Jesus. You know, one of those things.
You also got to like Edgar Rice Burroughs. He put out his first book at 37. So
yeah,
you know, it's you know. There's always one of those things like this. This sounds like we're just talking ourselves off the ledge right now, probably. But I mean, at the same time, it's one of those things because I think we growing up in the '90s, we heard all these stories about overnight successes and all that. So when you hear someone, of course, busted their ass, but then like the first big one came out at 36, and then you know, you every so often, and this isn't me trying to bring people down, but every so often you hear something like, "Oh my God, this person." Can you believe it? These guys got this done at age like 26. Can you believe that? And like sometimes that is amazing. But then you get those ones, like I remember when Chronicle came out, people were like, oh my God, these guys were only 27. They made that movie Chronicle. Yeah, one of their dads was John Landis. The other was an Academy Award winning director for a documentarian. So maybe it wasn't like George Lucas or whatever. But let's
not kid ourselves. Like John Landis is like a humongous director. He's like really, I mean, like, yeah, maybe not George or Steven, but he's right next to those guys. You know what I mean? Like he made so many humongous movies. So of course the cameras and the resources are all sitting around the house there. Got the money. They don't have to go get like a regular job. You know what I mean? Like there always is that, you know. And I mean that sometimes always is kind of the one is you hear that and it's like sometimes it's almost like having headlines without like reading into the whole story. And then it's like, oh well, if you would have read farther into this, you would have saw that it's, who cares? I mean, of course they made it. Like, that's not even that big a shock. You know what I mean?
Well, by this point, Max Landis is kind of like a prick, but he still has some good stories. But it's one of those things also, it's like sometimes you'll read a little bit of something, and you're like, oh my God, he really gets this character. And then you're like, later in the line, more stuff comes out, like, oh, he only gets this aspect of the character. Like, because he wrote, I'm not going to lie, American Alien, Superman is, I think, one of the best Superman stories. But then he had after his controversies and all his Me Too shit happened, he obviously was starting to not get as many things done. And I'm not sure if this played in effect, but he went and said, here's what my the sequel to that was going to be. And you hear it, and I listened to it, and like, oh, you're one of those guys who likes Superman but thinks everything else sucks. And you made everyone else suck to make Superman look cooler. One of those kind of things, you know?
Yeah, you don't like the full picture of everything, which you see that every once in a while when some people like want to jump on and they want to do something like kind of in a superhero thing, but they don't really actually have a wide love of it, which I think that's always the wrong person to have. There's always that one person out there that says like that would be actually the right person because it would bring a brand new perspective. It's like no. I feel like you got to be balls deep into it or else don't do it at all. Like I feel like people like those fly by night people that just like, oh, I just felt like doing a superhero thing once in a while. It's like, but you never read a superhero thing. Well, yeah, but whatever. I just feel like doing it. Like just like they're floating through the wind. And it's like no. There's plenty of people out there who've like thought their whole life on that. You might as well choose them. I'm not saying that can also be a disaster sometimes, but
Yeah. Well, not to give him too much, because I'm not going to lie. American Alien's a really good book, but at the same time, because the other one that he never made, he was going over, it was just a continuation of that. And what he was saying happened in it was like, basically Batman was the bad guy. He made it to be like, oh, Batman's just some fucking privileged prick who just thinks he knows better, but he actually makes the situation way worse. And at some point, like Aquaman comes in and tries to start shit with Superman, but Superman like gets Aquaman and Aquaman's like begging for his life at some point. Like it's just like all this like he's somebody who knows comics. He knows comics well because he's making all these other references. But I'm like, oh, he's one of these fucks. And granted, a lot of comics do that. A lot of comics do the thing where if Green Lantern pops into like Batman's book and they have a fight, by the end, Green Lantern's going, oh, what am I? No, or vice versa. Like, so that happens. Like, if Batman jumps into Flash's book, like, Flash, you're fucking up. Oh, yeah, Bruce, fuck you. Yeah, okay, you're right. I'll go away now. So it's like everyone does it to an extent, but this was kind of like case after case after case. I'm like, all right, I gave you too much credit the first time. I mean, it's not that, like I said, not that American Alien's a bad book. I actually really like that book, and I don't like Max Landis, but the particular, but it was just seeing the rest of what he was going to do with the rest of the universe. I'm glad he stopped here. This is a good drop off point,
The only upside I guess I'll give to it, at least Superman's being put into the good light, because a lot of times people do the opposite. Superman's always the character who gets fucking thrown under the bus. So it's like, he's just too overpowered, he's old fashioned, and blah blah blah. You hear all that stuff. I'm like, no, Superman's always awesome. Like I don't care what anybody says. It's like Superman, that character is defined. And a lot of times I always look at it like, I've used this explanation before, but I always sometimes look at a lot of the characters like they're Mario Kart characters, and this sounds weird, but like think of the Mario Kart stats. Like there's not really a bad character in Mario Kart, but they each have different things. Like some weigh more, some have more acceleration, some have, you know, higher top speeds and so on. And that's how I sort of look at it. And I kind of go, Superman is literally Mario. He's dead center. He's equal on all his stats in a sense. But I like to always say that, you know, Wonder Woman's technically stronger than Superman, but she doesn't have some of the other abilities that Superman has. You know, same thing. I always picture like Aquaman actually being sort of stronger than, you know, Superman too. But once again, has different abilities as well too. As I said, you know, Superman's he's the Mario. He's just dead center across the board. You know, Batman's got more smarts. You know, but it's not saying that Superman, once again, he still has all that too, just not as much as Batman. It's like everybody has those kind of stats sort of going on. You know what I mean? And it's not that Superman's just way more overly powered than everybody else.
Well, sometimes because you know, at no point do you see like Diana lift up a building, at least not that I can think of. But at the exact same time, I feel like they've recently kind of like toned back Superman to some extent. I mean, sometimes they go like Omega level God, and maybe he just got shot with some kind of beam that exasperates his power, makes his power way more, or something like that. But sometimes they also really cripple him. And the other thing is, they hardly. I notice, at least from more recent Superman books that I've been reading, they hardly ever put him against magic people, and magic is like one of his other weaknesses. So it's kind of like you know, like, oh, I have a fire type, but I'm never gonna fight whenever the guy never uses a water type against me. So it's kind of like it happens every so often. He gets like zapped with some magic shit, but lately from the books I've been reading, they never pull out the magic card on them unless it's like one of those like last minute. No, I don't know. Kind of can't think of the situation at the moment, but you know, it's there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, even speaking of Superman stuff, there was DC had the DCU Supergirl movie, which is, you know, Legion of Superheroes. But let's be honest, it's more of a super. I'm surprised they even call it Legion of Superheroes. Like Supergirl's name's not even on the title. I kept thinking it was the whole time it was called Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes, but no, it's just Legion of Superheroes. But at the end of the day, it's a Supergirl movie, kind of to pump everybody up for, hey, Supergirl's coming in the DCU live action universe, so we got to get people sort of prepped and ready.
And for the Flash, did you see the Super Bowl ad for the Flash?
Well, yeah, I didn't see the Super Bowl, but I saw the trailer for that one. And yeah, so she's in there at the very tail end of it.
In place of like you know, like skinny ass scrawny Superman.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that Flash one's still pretty interesting, kind of just seeing all the stuff. Like, I feel like, I hope it doesn't. The only thing I kind of hoping is it's not like the Doctor Strange movie where it gives you this thing of like, oh shit, there's gonna be all these like alternate versions and so on like that, and then be like, well, they realistically only go to about 3 different places. Like, I kind of hope that like they didn't just blow their load in that trailer, and you're not going to see it. I hope there's actually more like random ass stuff that comes in there and so on. If you're going to start cherry picking things, like see what else you can sort of cherry pick out of the old movies and so on like that you could just kind of throw in there and so on. Because if you're already going to do it once with having Michael Keaton Batman in there, I just hope that that's not the one where it's like they like that's really the biggest thing of the entire movie. And you know, we saw it in the trailer in a sense. Not saying that, you know, the movie will still be good, but don't pull the Batman v Superman card where it gave you the entire, you know, plot of the movie and all like the characters and bonuses and stuff like that, and just like the short 2-minute long, you know, version of it.
Before we get into Legion of Superhero, before we get into that, let me just flash real quick. I think it is going to be kind of a BVS situation. Who knows? I could be totally wrong, just because it's hard to keep. No one can kind of keep their mouth shut. Like, Henry Cavill's coming at the end of Black Adam. You know, they just try to like, they can't hold it in. They can't hold it in, you know? So I feel like that they did kind of shoot their load. Now there's a rumor that Christian Bale or George Clooney might pop in for like a scene or two in the movie. And if they do, that's cool. But I'm not getting my hopes up for that. I don't think it's going to be, but the thing is, I don't even think this is, it is kind of Doctor Strange-ish, Doctor Strange 2-ish, but not to that exact level. Mm-hmm. I think they're just going to be going more of a I don't know. I think they're going to be going more like I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to it, and maybe by this point DC does need a reset. But at the same time, I'm like, Flash is one of my favorite comic book characters. And I'm a little bit kind of like, for his first movie, we're already doing what seems like what should be the third or fourth movie. Like, maybe they might be in there, but I didn't see anything for Captain Cold. Definitely didn't see anything for Boomerang's dead by this point, I guess. Yeah, there's no Mirror Master, no Weather Wizard, no Golden Glider that I saw. Maybe they're in there. I don't know. But it looks like the whole DC universe and Flash just interacting with the whole DC universe as opposed to his own rogues gallery. So, and I think one of the best things about Flash, I mean, a lot of things best about a lot of villains, about heroes, is their villains. But Flash in particular stands out because most of his villains have some kind of code of honor. Like Captain Cold, I think, is one of the best villains just because he's like he's a blue collar guy with a weird set of skills, and he's literally a Bruce Springsteen song of a supervillain, and that's why I like him. And I doubt he's going to be in it, So.
Well, it's kind of a bummer too because Flash literally has actually some of the best villains out of any character in both Marvel and DC. I think his rogue gallery almost rivals Batman's. Like that's like how good a lot of those characters are in there. And I do think that the downfall is it's doing the classic. It's almost doing the Batman v Superman thing where it's like instead of getting a Superman 2 movie that you sort of kind of needed, Batman kind of shoehorns his way in to be like, hey guys, you know what's going to make your movie sell? Me. And you know what? 2 me's are better than 1. You know what? You're probably going to get 3 or 4 me's. You don't fucking know. Out of the way, Flash. Come on. Like, nobody wants to see you, Ezra Miller. Think you're so fucking special. Like, you know who they all paid money to come see. You know what I mean? It's bam, bam. Yeah, that's fucking right.
I just like to imagine they're like doing like the press photo and they're all lined up. Like, Flash is in the center. Next to him is Batman, and then Supergirl, then other Flash, who I actually think is probably, in all honesty, I bet that's going to be Reverse Flash, the other Barry Allen. I bet it's going to be Reverse Flash or something to that effect.
It's not going to be Wally West.
No, it's because it's him anyway. But what if it was Wally? Like, oh, my nephew looks exactly like me. That's weird, and the same age too. But no, what if like right before the picture goes off, he just goes.
I wish it was just Ezra Miller, but they just put like a red wig on him. That was like the only difference. Like the Wally West version.
They put the red wig on them. Yeah, that'll be just the whole like. They got them looking like fucking Raggedy Andy.
Just that way to make more characters, but yeah, that's the only thing is I feel like it's just gonna be it's one of those ones that feels like is this just gonna be technically a Justice League movie that's under the Flash title, when it really probably should have just been a straight almost like have a Flash movie and then make this the second one almost in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, granted they were planning like when they first said Batman v Superman, like we got a whole fucking fat stack of fucking DC movies coming out, and like 3 of them came out of that whole giant stack. But then Flash, they didn't even have like a solo Flash movie at that point. I want to say there was like Flash meets the Green Lantern. We're gonna introduce them both at the same fucking time. And then it's not fucking happening. Well, eventually we're gonna get a Flash movie down the line. Flash is still happening. Flash is happening. Flash is happening. Oh shit! It's like gonna be the last thing, and it was never intended to be the last thing. Since it's been this fucking late, let's just do Flashpoint and restart some shit.
Yeah, well, I feel that's what it was. It's just like the thing that's like, well, you know what? We can fix this while still like kind of keeping the same timeline by just using the Flashpoint paradox. Do that, and that's what Flash is here for. But it is kind of a bummer just because you just know that. I just feel like who knows? They could surprise you. So there is a bunch of like rogues gallery in there of so on and Flash, but I don't know. As I said, I'm looking super forward to it. Of course, I mean, it's new DC, but. Yeah, it is that kind of one where you're like, oh well, that's sort of a bummer that it's not just straightforward. As I said, just pick up any Flash book and you'll see how cool his villains are.
I wasn't really following who they all casted. I mean, some stuff you couldn't get around. You couldn't get around Michael Keaton. You couldn't get around.
No, he's like in half the trailer.
Yeah, like even before the trailer was even released, there's some stuff I just couldn't get around and couldn't avoid about it. I did not know Zod was going to be in it. I wish
I didn't either. I thought that was actually kind of cool, but that's one of those ones. See, that's the thing is, I hope because we saw so much stuff in that trailer, I hope there is still some gems hidden. You know what I mean? Because that Zod would have been the perfect one because you almost don't need to show Zod to sell a movie in a sense. But that would have been like when you were watching the movie, you would have been like, oh shit, really Zod's back? You know what I mean? Michael Shannon version of him too. I mean, they couldn't even brought back the fucking I don't know if the Zod guy from the '78 Superman movie is still alive, but
I don't know. Well, he was in Smallville. He actually played Clark Kent's dad.
Oh, well, maybe he might still be there, something like that.
His Kryptonian dad. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
My father is Zod.
No, like that. No, Clark. Just got two dads.
You got two dads. It's just something that happens on tonight. You know, most people are born in a lab, but we decided to put two dicks together and see what happens.
Both simultaneously came on a crystal. Here you are.
You know that question that like every kid has in sex ed? What happens if a girl gets impregnated by two guys like simultaneously? Whose kid is it, or what does that become? The teacher goes, Jesus, I have to explain this now. This is their fucking burning desire question. Well, let's see. How can I explain this? Picture of Zod.
I just think
it's Jor-El.
Eiffel Tower, high five.
Drawing?
I'm just imagining the teacher, like, so that's had to happen at some point. Like,
that literally happened in one of my classes. I kid you not. That was literally a question someone asked. They didn't use a Superman reference, but
what happens? So, like, let's say like two dads. Okay, there's like two dads and one mom. They go both in at the same time. What happened? Oh my god! Like, do the babies inside fight for dominance? Is that what happens?
What if it's four guys?
Is it like Toxic Avenger 4? Is that what happens?
That DVDA stuff. What comes out? But I hope DC spoils us with some things that are not shown in that trailer. That's all I have to say there. I just hope it's not a Batman v Superman where they just give away too much stuff. Yeah.
So hopefully that's the case. And maybe that's the post-credit scene. Just like we brought Russell Crowe back for one scene.
And Michael Shannon, like, what? They're like, Krypton's gonna blow up. We gotta do something. We gotta do something crazy. I thought just having a kid, like in the old school way was already crazy. Not crazy enough. We got to go at the same time together.
You don't understand. What's his name? Jor-El. You don't understand, Jor. It's the only way. That Michael Shannon, like, intenseness, just like
not slapping against each other. like Russell Crowe, like just Russell Crowe's giving that Oscar shit, and meanwhile Michael Shannon just like so serious,
just, like, eyes bulging wide, not blinking. The wife's just like, whatever, world's gonna end. Let's just make this happen.
Give me another space martini.
Yeah, not supposed to drink when you're pregnant, but fuck it.
Fuck it. This mutant kid's gonna come out as a bartender. But yeah, back to Krypton and all that good stuff. You get Supergirl. And her sort of origin story to kind of catch people all up there and so on. She's got nothing weird going on. That's what you're expecting. It's just that movie starts off with her and her mom having a foot race, because they're in a futuristic planet. So that's what you do.
So this is going to be me just reacting because I didn't get a chance to see this movie. Because first off, when you call it, if you want me to save a little bit of cash right now because of the move and everything, and I plan on getting around to it, but unfortunately, it's just not available to rent over here, not yet at least. So
you could Scott Mosier it.
I'm just going to Scott Mosier it, like, and that's a reference for like people who listen to Smodcast back in like 2012, 2013, so very
so many times Kevin Smith would watch a movie and then Scott Mosier wouldn't. He would just kind of explain it along the way.
Kevin Smith's like, and that's when Batman that's when Batman goes and makes the sacrifice he does himself. And Scott's like, oh yeah. That's crazy. Doing that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you because Legion's one of those ones that I personally, Ryan probably hates Legion even more than I do, but I still have never really got around Legion. To me, I've always thought of them kind of being like lame third string X-Men characters that they were so goofy and dumb that they just sent them to the future so that we wouldn't have to normally see them, and that's just kind of how it is. But I felt like, they're doing a DCU movie, maybe they're just giving them a new chance and everything like that. They got sort of Supergirl to be like, everybody knows Supergirl, so at least that character can kind of keep you going. And let's just see where it goes. And I will say I actually did quite enjoy this one, a bit. There is some dumb Legion characters, but at least they're not the main part. Really, the story focuses heavily on Supergirl and Brainiac 5. And Brainiac 5 is probably like the one Legion character that's like, oh, that guy actually is kind of cool. You could literally throw him in other stuff, and I feel like that would work.
Well, I always liked Brainiac 5 just because he's Brainiac, but he's good. And that's just kind of an interesting concept. And the thing about Legion is like, Ryan fucking hates Legion. Like, I don't, well,
you told me this to me our whole lives. You're like, fucking Legion. Shit, Legion. I can't believe Legion's in this story. God damn it. They put Legion in the Justice League thing. Like, I feel like there was a montage where it just cut to you just saying how many times you hated Legion. It would go on for like 15 takes. Be like, oh yeah, I guess I do really hate Legion.
Maybe I do. I don't know. Here's the thing. I just don't like, so I guess there's this period about like, it's like, okay, it takes place in the DC universe, but it's so far in the future, it's not really that recognizable as the DC universe unless Superboy is there or whatever. And if people like Legion, that's fine. But the thing is, Legion has to keep on coming back in time. Like, hey guys, what's going on? Like, hi, yeah, And it's like Brainiac 5's always been kind of cool. The majority of them are always just there. And they always kind of bring their own fucking shit with them too. And I don't really, I'd be lying if I said I knew a whole lot about Legion, but whenever they crowbar their way into, and I say it as if they have a choice, as if it's not the writer, but writers I like Jeff Johns or Grant Morrison, even writers I really like them, every time they decide to bring Legion in, and I read a lot of Superman, so they like to see what Superman's up to. Just like Superman can't just say, "Hey guys, shut the fuck up. There's the door. Go back to your time vortex. I got to deal with Lex Luthor or Lobo or whatever." They just gotta like, "No, we gotta help you out. You don't understand Superman." Like, oh, fuck. All right, So that's just, and I don't know. I just never gave a shit for them, and they always. Maybe I'm not reading the right book, and so when you say, the next one's going to be Legion of Superheroes, but it's going to have Supergirl. Like, okay, so there's one good thing, and maybe Brainiac 5 will be cool in it. I don't fucking know. But then, I'm just, shit. I just don't give a shit. But at the same, and this is one of those things I would like. I'll check this. If this thing was available for $3 to rent, I would have rented it. But it wasn't, and I wasn't about to roll the dice. I wasn't about to roll $20 or more on a Blu-ray I really didn't want to buy. So here we are. And you said it was good.
I literally have the whole collection. So because of having that, it's like it would feel wrong if I was missing one out of the DCU ones. Like I'm literally not missing a single. Actually, I take it back. There's one I'm missing. There was that Constantine one that came out not too long ago, and I didn't buy it because it was $20 for like a 5-minute or like a 10-minute short, and then they just include a bunch of the other shorts, which if you didn't own any of them, that's totally fine. That's a full movie in itself. But once you already had all the other shorts on the previous movies, it felt kind of like, oh, okay, well, if that's $5, I'll pick that up for the collection. But until then,
That short sucks too.
Yeah, I watched it off HBO Max, and I was like, oh, well, I didn't feel like I was missing out on much. I'm glad I didn't spend $20 for like the 12-minute short or whatever the hell it was.
It doesn't even have a good ending. It's just like, oh yeah, I mean, I know it's Constantine. It's a little darker and a little bit more darker and downer, but at the same time, it's just like, yeah, but he saved the world, he saved the universe. You don't think he should be punished for eternity for that? He has to get out of there somehow. No, not yet. All right,
yeah.
Well, that seemed fucking bullshit, but all right.
Oh god, that other DCU Constantine movie, that was like one of the best ones. I almost thought too. I love the living daylights out of that one, but yeah, whatever. Going back to Supergirl or whatever, it's a classic Supergirl. She comes to Earth at a different time, like somehow, some way, her space trip warp thing just gets her there, and even though she's technically older than Clark, by the time she gets there, she's younger, all that classic stuff. And on Earth, it's like they give her this almost kind of like dumb jock kind of feel. Like she's just going around and like it starts off, she's like fighting Solomon Grundy like out there. And Solomon Grundy's just walking around with like a bazooka fucking laser shooting shit up, But in the process, like Supergirl ends up just like destroying all this parts of the city. And even has the guys like, dude, what the fuck, Supergirl? It's my fucking apartment complex. Oh, I got to pay for all the goddamn fucking repairs. And Supergirl's like, what? I fucking stopped Solomon Grundy. Fuck, man. Like, get off my case. And then Batman even just shows up and he's like, Clark, you can't be having her fucking cousin run around like destroying. She's giving a fucking bad name, and she's like, "I can fucking hear you, Bruce. Fuck off." Like shit. If you don't get rid of her, I'm gonna fucking dump her somewhere. Like I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? You figure this family issue out.
I'm being cool with this. Like, look, I'm cool with you. The league's cool with you. I'm Superman. You don't got a fucking choice to be cool with me. Yeah, we know. You this comes up every time things get testy in the meeting room. All right. It's every fucking time, but at the same time, you gotta do something about this bitch, dude. This fucking
your cousin's out of control every time. She can't just like take down the villain, nicely. She's got to destroy a building, got to blow a boat up, got to somehow, some way. An airplane went down last time. I don't even know how it happened. It was a ground fight, but you know how she is and stuff. And so Superman's like, well, you know what?
The toilet and the watchtower bathroom.
Yeah, she always pulls that stupid Krypton excuse that like, hey, the computer didn't do it for me. Yeah, that's the thing. She's not willing to do it by hand. You know what? We live in the 21st century. Not everything's automated yet. She got in my fucking Batmobile and told try to tell the computer the destination. I mean, I know how to do that, but nobody else does that. You got to manually drive it. I got stick shifted in there and everything like that. So Superman's like, well, you know what, Kara? I know you don't fit in here. You don't understand this. They even show her like trying to fit in, and she's just got the most goofiest dress on. Like she's at the mall. She's got like a sideways hat on. Like, this is cool, right? It's like, no, that wasn't even cool in 1996. So, and it's now 2023. So you're definitely off on your times here. But you know what I'm gonna do? There's a place I can send you where you can look like any fool and you'll still be cool. And it's the 31st century with the Legion.
Super
and you know what?
There.
If you feel
way more accepting there than now.
If you feel like destroying anything there, that's okay, because it's in the future and people don't care as much. So here, Superman's like, here's my time warp thing. Just fucking throws this Pokeball out and it like opens up this gate. He's like, come on, we'll go there now. I'm gonna roll you into fucking Hogwarts of the Legion school up here, and you can learn how to be a superhero in the.
He just has like a time vortex thing. They don't go into the details.
Yeah, he literally does. He's like, yeah, I go over there once in a while. I show up. I fucking, they pay me like, $1 million future bucks to like do like a space lecture or whatever. It's like, it's not in space. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's the 31st century and whatnot. It's kind of like Krypton, but sort of different shit.
Since I'm from the past, they think I'm kind of problematic, but at the same time, they
worship me.
They should have thought of that before they gave me the time vortex thing. Like, hey, that statue of me still up? Yeah, Clark. Yeah, it is. Good. It's gonna fucking stay up, right? Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right, just making sure. It'd be a shame if it's a nice future you got here. It'd be a shame if someone fucked it up. Yeah,
I don't want no fucking Booster Gold statue next time I come here. I see one of that again. Everybody's getting fucking super slapped.
Exactly. He just is like. And if you don't, if this thing is gone next time I come here, I will make sure nobody fucking recycles. That's your fucking problem.
Yeah, exactly. So she gets dropped off there. She's fucking enrolled in the Legion Hogwarts school or whatever to learn the art of fucking superheroes. And I think that's what also is the other lame thing about it. Like, I don't know what it is. I always think that kind of like, I'm going to go to school to be a superhero. Just like that kind of stuff. Those storylines never work for me. I mean, like, I'm not saying that there's not something out there, but
or whatever.
Yeah, it's like that, or that's even like even Ruby's like that as well too, where it's like the best way to sort of say it's that the Harry Potter kind of style, like because even Harry Potter, I always felt like that makes fucking magic seem kind of lame that you went to school to learn it. You didn't just like, have some cool like fucking kung fu like training to learn this magic and so on. You had to go to like this dark temple on top of this like great mountain that only the few can hike up to. It's like, no, your parents are fucking rich British people. And, Ron's our only relatable character because he's the only poor person that got allowed in there at one point when they had affirmative action for 1 year for like, they let the Irish in once and they said never again. That's what I always feel. I'm like, Ron's the only. Everybody else is just a rich prick. And then, even though I don't get me wrong, I like Hermione and all that kind of stuff. But let's be honest, everybody there is like a rich family, except for Ron. Ron's just that one. He's the outlier of fucking Harry Potter world. Because even Harry, let's be honest, his parents are dead, but he was like the fucking prime, chancellor of like that school, except for his parents died. That's the only thing that. And so they shipped him off to his shitty uncle's house.
He just kind of walked in like, hey, what's up? Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, my parents were like the fucking like, top tier like fucking champions here. Let the true prince reign.
It's one of the later movies. We'll get back to just Legion in a second, but I know this doesn't happen in the movie, but for some reason I want it to happen so badly, and I always think whenever I watch it, I think it's going to happen for a second, but it doesn't. And then one of the last movies, when they're on the run from the wizard Gestapo or whatever, and they stop the train, there's one kid that gets up, but my father would hear about this, and I'm just amazed for the kid in the background. I'm expecting just to punch that kid in the fucking face. I don't know why. I keep on thinking it's going to happen this time. Is it going to happen this time? No, it doesn't. Shit.
It's like that thing when you watch a movie so many times and you start envisioning the scene in your head, but and then like in your mind, it's so real by this point that you actually, in your edited version, it's there, but it's actually not. You know what I mean? Like one of those.
I can see it. I can hear like the stock sound effect, but it's never there,
No. So, but yeah, Supergirl gets put in this school, and in the process, they do the thing where it's like Brainiac 5 just seems like this guy who's just like, all his fucking family members were, warmongers and, enslavers and rapists and all that kind of good stuff. And now he's like the guy's trying to be like, yo, I'm like this 12th level intellectual person. Like I know I'm trying to change. It's kind of like the intelligent version of like coming from like a trailer trash family. But I'm getting out of it. I'm getting out of the trailer park. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be a meth head. I'm not going to be a criminal biker or something like that. I'm changing, but nobody believes him, of course. And so he just looks kind of like everybody's like, I don't trust that Brainiac 5. He says he's smarter than everybody else here. He's just walking around. At some point, he's going to break into the weapons vault. He's going to get a nuclear bomb, and that's going to be fucking it. He's going with the fucking Dr. Evil plot? I don't know. You know how they are.
Just imagining like the giant like skull spaceship missing a tire wheel for some reason, like out in the field somewhere, like Brainiac 4 is just sitting on a couch with a huge beer gut going like, you going to school? What can I tell you about school, boy?
He's just for some reason got these like fucking like flabby like tits just fucking hanging down, just like he's just been eating like no green shirt on, gut just fucking there, be like just swigging a beer, be like, back when I used to fight Superman, I know, Grandpa. Yeah, you fucking do know. You better fucking know, boy.
Fucking nipples.
Superman's the reason why I fucking live in this trailer now, because he fucking shot a laser beam through my head, and after that, this is all I got. He set me up here, and Batman dropped off a case of beer and said, "Good fucking luck." Now I'm the smartest person in the world. and then he left. And so I just had children ever since then, and we live in this trailer park in the 31st century. Dad, I'm trying to change. You know, I'm at the academy. You know, I'm the smartest one there. Yeah, you keep on telling yourself that, boy.
He's just sitting there watching reruns of VH1 like reality shows. Like, this is the Bret Michaels one. I like this one. This one's good.
Flavor Flav one, you know, I felt like they were trying there a bit.
Hit and miss, you know.
Second season, I really like Public Enemy, but I have a, you know, Flavor Flav by himself. You know, he's missing Chuck D. It's just not the same.
Just saying.
but yeah, and then they got I can't remember any of the Legion characters other than Brainiac 5's name, but there's like the guy who's like he wants
Bouncing
to be Kryptonian. Boy. No, well, Bouncing Boy is in it. Yeah, but he's more like a minor character. But there's a guy who's like he's like so obsessed with Krypton and everything. So like he styles everything about it. He fucking changes his name to like Bob L or something like that. You know what I mean? One of those ones that fit in. And of course, he seems like the guy who's like, "Hey, Supergirl, what's going on? Like, I'll show you around campus. It's pretty cool. Like, you know, this is where we go back and you know drink a couple of beers before class. You know what I mean? And so on. And then come on down." Hipster? Yeah, he's almost that guy just showing around like, you know, you come over here and this, you know, we go see movies on the weekends and so on. It's pretty cool. Got the drive-in and so on. Like, why does it seem like it's fucking 1950s here? Well, you know, we'd like to kind of keep it hip and old, you know? It's like, so of course, you know that this guy's turning at some point. That's what I just felt. I'm like, okay, you can't trust that guy. When Brainiac 5 looks like the intellectual dick and this guy just seems like, he's like, hey, man, what's up? What's up, babe? Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
21st century.
So this guy, he's the guy who trying to like take her back and listen, like he's trying to take her back and listen to like Kryptonian vinyl or whatever.
Yeah, pretty much, you know, just kind of show off there. And then of course, and then they got, you know, the multitude of just some other Ram characters. Like there's like the chick that looks like Archangel. There's which that character is actually kind of interesting. There's of course Bouncing Boy, and they do the thing which is kind of interesting. They kind of pick a lot of like the sort of lame Legion characters, and they make that kind of part of it. Be like, yeah, we all are kind of lame, and like we don't think we're going to be able to get actually into like the Legion team. Like I don't even know why we're even like fucking in the running because we all have stupid powers and so on like that. And they kind of learn like, you know, as it goes on, they learn that their stupid powers come to a point where it does something good and they have purpose. And when Legion shows back up, they say, you know what? All you guys can join in the team because you saved the day and one of those kind of things. So they do have one of those. It's not as bad as I'm kind of making it out. It does get more purpose. Boys. Yeah. Like the Legion because motherfucking bouncing. Boys like, stop it. I'm not a basketball.
Everyone can join except Bouncing Boy.
Bouncing Boy, you know, if maybe if I can make this 3-pointer shot, then maybe you might have a chance. Oh wait, you're too fat to fit through the hoop.
That's a you problem.
Yeah, but yeah, and then you know, as the movie goes on, all hell kind of happens, and Brainiac comes back from the fucking dead, and so it's like. Because the fucking Bob L, whatever the fuck that kid's name is, you know, he ends up resurrecting kind of Brainiac and being his lackey. But then Brainiac, of course, is like, no fucking way. I'm taking over the Earth in the 31st century. No Superman, no problem. And it's actually kind of cool because they do this thing. I'm giving you kind of the spoilers here, but like Brainiac absorbs the previous Brainiacs and becomes this like Resident Evil 2 looking fucking monster where there's like heads of the other Brainiacs sticking out of him and everything, and he's walking in like the Frankenstein's monster and so on, and he's just like,
is it all metallic and whatnot though?
Yeah, because Superman or Batman or whoever shot Brainiac in the head like back in the day, and it like blew out his brain and everything like that, and so he had to absorb the other ones to bring his intelligence back up. So now he's like a 16th level intellect or whatever the hell they're using.
Because that was in Justice Society World War II because it opened in Metropolis.
Oh, that's right.
Flash was yeah.
I totally forgot. But well, because this one still is in that continuity of all those ones there, so that makes kind of more sense. Because I kind of forgot about that. Even though that movie was great, I felt like I only watched that one once. I don't think I ever got back around and watched it a second time. So it doesn't take long for me to start forgetting what the hell happened in them. But yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool there and everything like that. And yeah, the whole time it's like it's actually. As I said, it's got Legion, but it's still pretty decent.
Okay, I'm sure it'll be on HBO Max soon enough. It's gonna
Yeah.
pop on there pretty quickly. And then also, I mean, if I like it, I'll of course go out and buy it. I do like Supergirl, so that sounds like it's good they added her to it.
Yeah, they do a good job of Kara. Kara's done like extremely well, I feel, in this one. Like I like her. I like the whole version of Supergirl in it.
Yeah. So, and this is also one of those things they're trying to, I think, you kind of see the writing on the wall. Maybe they are playing something with Legion, but they're definitely playing some stuff with Supergirl, with her being in the new Flash movie, and then her also getting her own movie down the line.
Yeah.
So it's all there, you know. Yeah, I'll have to. I wish I could have seen it. I know I was talking shit on Legion, but I wish I would have. It was my ability to really see it. But you know, it's I'll get around to it. You know, it's kind of, in all honesty, what you described is kind of the movie I figured it was going to be. Because when I saw Brainiac was in there, I'm like, and I also, like, YouTube was recommending me just random clips, and I saw Brainiac was kind of being a dick and they didn't get along. And I was like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. So I think they are in a relationship at some point in the comics, I think, or at least they were in Justice League Unlimited in the Legion episode.
Yeah, and I literally think they have those episodes on the Blu-ray disc. That two-parter right there, and they become a couple in this one. So until, you know, it's, of course, and it's like that thing where it's almost like, here's the intellectual man and the almost like the hardcore, like muscle-bound, like female, you know, but it makes for a fun kind of pairing and so on like that.
Yeah, but, that's cool. That's cool.
But yeah, but speaking of even other superhero stuff, when you thought that, you know, DC was just giving out all the ham, no, wait, fucking Marvel comes out with Antman 3 and the Wasp, whatever the heck it's called, in the Ultimatum, or the, what the hell they call it? Why am I drawing a blank on that? Whatever, Antman 3. Yeah, Quantumania, yeah. Because I remember it's kind of cool, because when they showed the title, it's like, oh shit, it says Ant-Man in that. I didn't even think about that. In Quantum, it has Ant-Mans in that if you take out the first couple letters.
I don't know why that sounds funny to me. Like, if you thought DC was just giving, no one was giving out all the ham, like you know, just like they're just like out front, just like, ham, folks, ham. All of a sudden, just like Aquaman comes running, guys, we're not the only ones. What? Like some street Marvel.
He fucking opens up like a Spider-Man book, and there's just like a slice of ham in the center.
Oh, it's a fucking sign. Look down the road. They have like a Brazilian style rotisserie, just sliding it off. Like, oh, hey guys, hi.
They don't just have ham; they got Canadian bacon. Aquaman, that's not true. No way. You know, Canadian bacon's technically a Hawaiian thing.
It's in the name.
You know, but yeah, you got the Ant-Man 3, and this is one of those ones that I was looking so forward to with that trailer and so on like that. But I was also afraid, because Ant-Man 2 was almost one of the most, like, I was so amped and pumped for that movie, and that was the one where I'm like, dude, Ant-Man 1 was super good. Ant-Man 2 is gonna be fucking amazing. It's got the Wasp in it. I think that character's totally awesome and so on like that. And I remember Ant-Man 2 came out, and it was one of those movies, by the time I was down at the theater, I was like, gosh, that probably was one of my least favorite of the Marvel ones. And I don't know, maybe my hopes were just jacked up for it and so on like that. And I just remember it just felt like it wasn't firing on the right cylinders and so on like that, you know?
Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp is probably one of my least favorites. It's probably one of my least favorite of the MCU movies. And it's not like a bad MCU movie is not, I mean, probably Eternals is probably my least favorite. At the time when I first saw Eternals, it wasn't, but then watching it again and thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, I think Eternals might be the worst one. It sucks because it's probably one of the ballsiest ones, but it's also just one of the most slowest, most emotionless ones, you know? But,
yeah, there's like moments in Eternals, and that's about the only takeaway. Couple moments.
Yeah, like Eternal, like there's three. Like I appreciate that it was not trying to be jokey. It was trying to be more serious than other aspects about it, but it was just too like self-serious and not enough emotion or anything like that to it. But the thing about Ant-Man and the Wasp is it was just kind of like joke after joke after joke. I know there are those movies where Marvel will go through phases where they just pile in the jokes and they kind of lead off, and that kind of depends on the franchise. So going into this one, I was looking forward to it, but I was kind of going in fairly neutral. Like I wasn't going in like expecting, you know, like Black Panther 2 or a Spider-Man movie or like a Captain America movie. I just kind of went in like, you know, I'm sure it's going to be good, but I'm not sure. I'm sure it's gonna be decent, if anything. And I think people are being a little hard on it, but at the exact same time, I get a lot of the criticism it's getting. But at the same time, my only big criticism is there's like a big like overall. I'll say this: I liked it. I liked it, and I wasn't really. I have no major complaints. I thought it was enjoyable. I just have one criticism, and that's one big criticism. And there's like a 30-minute period where there's just like exposition dump after exposition dump after exposition dump. It's taken forever to get to the point.
Yeah, well, there is definitely that. But I will say the thing that I just liked about it, because I actually liked it quite a bit. Like I thought it was actually one of the better Marvel movies I've seen in a good while. And what I think I liked about it so much is that once that movie starts off, it's like there's like 10 minutes and then all of a sudden you're in the quantum realm and the movie stays in the quantum realm. It's not like, oh, we go to the quantum realm for like a moment and then we're back at, fucking San Francisco hanging out. I was like, well, I can fucking see San Francisco in any other movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's be kind of more original. It's like, no, they stay in that quantum realm. And when you're in the quantum realm, you're in this total alien world and everything like that. It's exactly what I always say a Green Lantern thing needs to be, is that like you go off in the fucking space and you go somewhere that you never would see. It's not, you're not on the regular street or anything like that. You're somewhere completely bizarre. So you have no idea what's going to happen or what's going to happen next. And I think the part of having them in that quantum realm the whole time, they literally throw all the Ant-Man characters in there too. So you get, old school Ant-Man with, Michael Douglas, you get, old school Wasp with Michelle Pfeiffer, and you have all these characters in there. And even like the little girl, like she's grown up and now she's kind of the character, and she wasn't like annoying or anything like that. Cause sometimes that's always the scary thing when you get the family thing. Sometimes that could be like thing like, fuck you, dad, you weren't there for my birthday. Be like, yeah, I'm fucking saving the world. And I was stuck in a different fucking, dimension in a sense, or, I was shrank so small. So fuck you, like one of those ones. I like how that's like, no, I understand. I get it. Like, and they're just going on and everything like that. And I just thought that because of just happening in that world and not trying to do it. And then the comedy was toned down. The comedy was just right. Like there was the jokes when there was jokes there, they were funny, but they never felt like they were so like wacky and slapsticky and so distracting from like the rest of the movie. Like a Thor movie can be, like the modern Thor ones, not the old Thors. But
yeah, I heard people complain about the comedy, and maybe there's like one or two like ill-timed jokes, but not nearly as bad as other movies. I thought the comedy.
Oh yeah, it was so much more toned down than many of the other DC ones.
I mean, MODOK was a joke, but at the exact same time, it was just like, I thought it was kind of, because I'm pretty sure Yellow Jacket and MODOK are two separate characters, but they more or less.
Yeah, I thought so too.
For this. But it's whatever, MODOK got a good. I thought MODOK was one of those characters they were never going to throw in there for a minute. So I saw like someone like, look, there's a pop Funko of MODOK, so he's coming in the next movie. Like, oh great, spoilers, I guess, But apparently,
I was glad I don't remember seeing that, so that was like a surprise. When it's like, oh shit, they're gonna put MODOK in here. So that got me. I was like, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Well, they've apparently been trying to get MODOK in an MCU movie since Captain America: Winter Soldier. Like that was the first movie they tried to get him in, but it just wasn't happening for whatever reason. So, but at the exact same time, like this movie, my big problem with it is so once they get to the realm, everything's crazy for a minute. Like, oh, okay, cool. We're in this crazy new world, and then like they get separated, and we do the whole thing like. Oh, they get taken in by the natives, and they got to have a whole minute like he killed our families and all this stuff. Like, oh, okay, exposition, whatever. And then we got to go like see. Then they got to the other half has to go and bump into these scavengers. They have to get a ride. They got to go to the Star Wars spaceport. They got to stop at a bar. They stop at the bar. They have a conversation with Bill Murray, which is just very kind of a meh scene. In all honesty.
Well, yeah, I thought Bill Murray was going to come back too. He never comes back in the movie.
It was just a very quick fight, and then we get on to like, okay, are you finally going to tell us why you're not telling us anything? What is it? Fine, I'll tell you. Here's another like 5 to 7 minutes of backstory, and so it's just kind of like all this exposition shit. It's literally like 20 or 30 minutes of the movie, and the whole visually, it's all interesting and cool looking. And once they go into Kane's backstory, that's where I felt that. Picking up again. And that was, because when they first get there, all this stuff's cool. But then by the time they get to the bar, I'm like, let's speed this shit up. Come on, let's get rolling again. So once they get to Kane's backstory, and I'll say, if anything, Kane, because I never gave a shit for him in the comics, and I'll be honest, I don't know very much about him. But at the exact same time, Jonathan Majors is a really good actor. I've seen him in that show Lovecraft Country, and he was also in that Spike Lee movie, the Five Bloods. And so he's really good in everything I see him in. So, and he's basically, this movie is setting him up. He is basically the Thanos of this next phase.
Oh, is that because I kept thinking that they were leading towards Galactus, was like what I'm always keep thinking in this one, but because that's what it felt like with Eternals and all that stuff, that it was like we're gonna finally get to the like Galactus somewhere along the line.
You'd think, but I guess they're going the Kang, and then because like near the end of this phase or whatever, they're apparently that's when the Fantastic Four are coming in near the end, not the very end, but near the end. So
well, yeah, and you pretty much need the Fantastic Four to have Galactus, to do it proper. But I guess maybe that's the third version. I guess then would be Galactus, because I feel like this is supposed to be like, it's almost supposed to be in a weird way like a lull period, and it's like intentional though. It's like, because I think there's a lot of people out there like they're like, I don't get it. These movies, it's like, like they're just haven't been the same. And like the last one, I'm like, no, I think they're supposed to be kind of like on the light end. Like everything's not supposed to be so extreme because they want you to almost forget, like Freddy Krueger style. And then once you start ramping it back up again, it will seem more magical. Because if you start ramping it up again, you're going to sort of lose people that, they'd be like, okay, well, and I mean, I know they've already sort of lost people because there's sort of like I feel like these movies, there's like, there's certain people that will go see any Marvel movie, of course, but I feel like the real like generic audience that was going to see the spectacle of being like, there for the time, I feel might have sort of petered off after, Avengers Endgame, sort of like, okay, that was like, the Star Wars trilogy, and now I'm sort of done with it,
Well, it's also, to be fair, Endgame, it's kind of hard to top Endgame. And the thing with this, what they're trying to do now, because this is officially Phase 5. Phase 4 was apparently Black Widow up to Black Panther 2. And this one, from here on in, this is Phase 5. And Phase 4 was meant to be the breathing period. That's what Phase 4 was. Phase 5 is meant to be the next saga. And previously, the Infinity Saga or whatever was 3 phases. This one is just going to be 2 phases, like 2 or 1 phase, really, because the last one was just kind of a breathing period. This is where we're getting shit back on track again with a big bad. So, and they haven't even revealed what all the movies are going to be yet, but they're trying to basically get like a bunch of Marvel movies done in half the time they did before, because now they got it down, but they know you probably just can't span this out. So they realize, every time we bring these actors back, we got to pay them more. So they're all exiting. They're all like, let's get them done with their fucking contracts and get the new team in,
Yeah, well, I mean, I get that. I know it's hard for some people to wrap their heads around, but like, it's like that's just business. You know what I mean? You can't hold on to actors forever and so on. But yeah, just kind of going back into like Ant-Man 3 and the Wasp, like, once you sort of get past that kind of that little bit of that lull and the sort of like somewhat midsection Act 2 area or whatnot, like I do think that like the movie though, it still just had a lot of cool stuff kind of going on, and it was still about the right length, and it didn't run too long. When action was in there, it was all pretty good. Yeah, I thought everything about it. I mean, Kang's kind of an interesting character. It's one of those ones I only know of him and don't really know anything else beyond just like about that. So to see where that kind of leads, I think it'll be kind of interesting. Even though it's like one of those ones like, in the ending credits, it's got like him and like all his like multiverse cells. And it's like Ant-Man just whooped it. Yeah, like I don't know. It's like Ant-Man just kind of whooped this guy. So it's always that one where it's like, it's weird to have like, okay, one guy beats this guy, but then for some reason we're gonna make him the big villain later down the line. It's just like, and then they're gonna need a team to kick his ass even harder,
Well, he's not dead, but he got knocked away. I just think it's kind of like I feel it kind of undercutting, because you saw all the other, because I heard people say like from early screenings saying, dude, the 2 post-credit scenes are badass. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm thinking like, is it going to be Doctor? Like, what if the microverse is actually also killed 2 birds with 1 stone? The negative zone you know?
Yeah.
And like Doctor Doom or like another Fantastic Four villain or something is down there. And even though I know it's Latveria, but maybe he's down there for whatever reason. I don't know. But anyway, I'm just like, oh shit. So I'm just thinking about like connections that I know Ant-Man has. I know Doctor Doom is not really one of them, but I'm just thinking connections of possible ways that could be there. And then I see this, and it just like, because Jonathan Majors did a very good, like he's somebody, he barely yells, he barely raises his voice. And there's a part where he's like smacking Ant-Man around. He says like, I've conquered worlds, to reduce them to dust. You talk to ants, like there's like one of the few moments where he like raises his voice. Most of the time, he's just very calm and collective. Like, I'll kill everyone in this room. I won't lose any sleep. Trust me, dude. And then we see all the other ones like cosplaying, like, oh, I'm Egyptian. I'm the Egyptian one. Well, I am the robot one. Like I got the robot vagina. Whatever. And then and then you just cut to like, okay, well, everyone else is coming here, and then they're all like cheering, like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, it's just like was there only like one smart one out of the entire group, and all the rest of them are just a bunch of like, there's up there like a bunch of animals like cheering at like a soccer game. Like, what the hell is going on there?
Like a bunch of soccer hooligans. Like, whoa! Yeah,
there's like just everybody got fucking hammered.
So it's just like there's like maybe there's a scroll one in there or something. I was just looking like, okay. I feel like that had to be a fun day in front of the green screen. I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly.
like, John, come in here. Here's a bunch of different fucking wardrobes and shit for you to put on. Now do whatever the fuck you want. We're gonna just splice that like 800 times all over here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's one of those ones where I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't know. I felt like it's just one of those ones like, cool character, but I felt like that was almost feels like, that almost feels like what? So now we have to go battle like 8 million different versions of him now. Like, well,
there was a version of him in Loki where he was first introduced actually, and he came in and the whole timeline thing. They actually explained that in Loki. And he's all sitting there and he's basically just kind of very like, I'm not the one you got to worry about. I'm one of him. The one you got to worry about, he's out there and he's fucking nasty. And, he seemed kind of like a little like quirky and kind of off and like kind of, he kind of feels and senses things all at the same time. Like his other, like, I don't know, there's this weird little, like, it takes too long to explain, but there's like, he could feel when the time thing just splits apart and goes different directions. He can feel it. He says, it just happened. It just happened. And that links to something that happened in WandaVision. So
okay. Well, because there's that other ending scene where like, it's like Loki in like the 1800s, and for some reason fucking Owen Wilson's there. I was like, what is this, like if some like a Shanghai Noon fucking spinoff? Like
Owen Wilson's the agent that's bringing him, has him under watch in Loki.
Oh, okay. See, because I never saw Loki, so all I thought there was like it's 1800s and it's Owen Wilson. Like it's either Owen Wilson's character from Shanghai Noon or it's Owen Wilson's character from Around the World in 80 Days. I'm not too sure. I don't know what the tie-in is.
Loki just took Jackie Chan's job.
Yeah, that's literally what I thought when I saw that, because that's the only thing that's kind of weird is like I know that like that's what they want, is they want to before they didn't want to combine the TV stuff exactly like it was combined, but like it wasn't like you didn't need to see the TV stuff to know what was going on. But now it's getting to that point where like there's some of that stuff that's kind of confused. It was almost the same way of watching like the Doctor Strange 2, and it's like if you didn't see the WandaVision, you're like, wait a second. Well, what happened to Wanda in the times past here? Like, oh yeah, you didn't know she's bad? Oh, okay. Sure. Well, I'll go along with it.
Well, Loki, let's see here. I would be willing to bet money that scene, like, oh, whoa, what? I'd be willing to bet money that's actually a scene out of Loki season 2. They're just going to reuse it at some point in Loki season 2.
Just expand on it.
Yeah, that's because they did something like that with Thor, with Thor 3 and Doctor Strange. So I could see them doing something kind of like that with that one. But at the same time, though, No, Owen Wilson's base. It's kind of like a good cop, bad cop, kind of like, oh, we were like, because Loki, you know the Loki that escaped in Avengers Endgame.
Uh-huh.
That Loki gets captured by I forget what they're called, but basically by time cops, more or less, and they bring him
Okay.
in, and then he's like, look, uh, there's someone going around doing shit. If we got another Loki going around starting shit, we have a Loki. If we work with this Loki, we know how Lokis think. So he's forced to basically be a time cop, more or less.
Yeah. No Jean-Claude Van Damme though.
No Jean-Claude Van Damme, unfortunately. No. But yeah, I do have Owen Wilson. So
Yeah, you do get on Wilson though. As I said, that was one of those ones. But yeah, as I said, like some of these ones, it's like yeah, it's like that thing. It's like I guess if you didn't see it, like you feel like, huh, that's kind of weird, and you're trying to like piece it together, like what all this means, you know. I will say some of like the last like kind of ending things in the Marvel ones, like there hasn't been like that total like, oh my gosh, look at this kind of moment that like there used to be kind of in the original versions where like I felt like, I mean, granted, I know they were like, you know, name dropping big characters like right at the beginning, just being like pumping you up for whatever's coming next. But like in these ones, they've all been kind of like those very like they're interesting, but they are kind of just like minor things. They haven't been like a giant one, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, I don't know, like all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's fucking Cyclops or something like that.
going back to like, oh, that's just a scene from a movie that's going to come out later. What was it? It was the first Ant-Man, actually, where they just took a scene out of Captain America and the just Captain America Winter Soldier, where Bucky's pinned down with his arm. Oh no, it was Civil War actually.
Oh yeah.
Bucky's pinned down with his arm up, and like, what are we gonna do? Like, I know a guy. Like, Ant-Man will return. Like, oh fuck, you know. So but that's just the scene they just took out of another movie. Not nothing like strictly just for that movie, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see kind of where this all goes and so on like that, what this leads into, you know. Yeah, I just like how this one you got a lot of Ant-Man between, you know, all four Ant-Man and the Wasp characters and the daughter and all that stuff. It's like, I don't know, it was pretty cool. And just the fact to have literally like, you know, Hank Pym in the story the whole time, and he's got like his hearing aid on to control the ants, and he's like, yeah, my ants are like this, you know, they started to evolve like in their, you know, their cage, and now they're building civilizations, and they're preparing to rule the world if I die.
I like that line. He says, like, there's a lot we could learn from these ants. I know socialism is a loaded word, but
but you know, hive mind mentality is that's what Hank's working on next. Everyone's gonna believe like the Doug.
I really liked Michael Douglas in this movie. He was just kind of like, and like, there's like some of the smaller jokes he has, like he just like being like, he's amazed. I think like, holy shit, that guy looks like broccoli.
Yeah, I don't know why I still just pictured also like it's like Michael Douglas, he gets thrown into the CG world all of a sudden, and it's just like his real reactions to what he's seeing.
Like that's the guy holding the boom. Like, we'll use it, you know.
Michael, that's the guy's real face.
He's fucking ugly. He's like 70. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, one of those things. But but yeah,
I'll say this: he and Michelle Pfeiffer aged very fucking gracefully.
I know that's definitely kind of true. There, it's like one of those ones. Like, yeah, well, Michael Douglas, he kind of still just looks like Michael Douglas, just like white hair, and that's kind of it. Even like Michelle Pfeiffer, she's almost kind of like that too. You know, maybe a little bit more wrinkles and so on, but just the hair just got even more like platinum blonde, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I like this one. It's not one of my favorites, but I liked it. Other than that lull, I have no major complaints. I even thought, like, I was kind of chuckling at some of the MODOK stuff even too, some of the bits. I know people were complaining they made his face look too blown up and too much of a joke, but I still thought it was just kind of funny, you know.
Yeah, I was just happy to have MODOK, so I felt like that one, it probably was always going to look kind of a little bit weird no matter what, you know, but at the same time, like, yeah, it's like cool. MODOK's in there, even if he is kind of a goofy character. I feel like that is kind of it's such a hard character to sell to the regular audience. You know what I mean? Because you know that most people watch, they're like, what the fuck is that? Like, because they just don't know. Because MODOK's one of those ones that, like, you really only know him if you've ever been, like, at least somewhat deeper into Marvel Comics.
Well, I know that they treat him seriously in the Avengers game, and they make him all like serious and stern and threatening and all that. But I think that's also, to be fair, that's all like still CG. I think it's an easier ask, you know. So it's kind of one of those things. I guess it's kind of like we'll just lean into the goofiness, and it's Ant-Man, so it's a franchise where people expect more comedy.
Yeah, but at the same time, as I said, the comedy was so well balanced in this one. Like, it was not overloaded with comedy. When there was jokes, they felt generally right. They didn't feel like really out of place or anything like that. That's what I almost kind of gave it for. It's like somebody actually wrote the script nicely. It wasn't a Thor movie. You know what I mean? Thor's kind of like the one that just kind of goes off the rails in like 3 and 4. But you know, this one I thought was they definitely had a nice comeback, especially since Ant-Man 2, like for sure. Like I felt like this was one of those ones I'm like, this was pretty solid.
I like this one. Yeah, I thought it was good. I think people are being a little. I don't know why people are. I think people have really high expectations after Endgame, and people are like, all right, where's the real shit? What's the next big step? Because I've been seeing people really just beating this one up. This is like one of the other few Marvel movies to get like a lower score compared to the rest of them. Like this is the only one like it's not as low as Eternals, but it's like the second lowest Marvel movie. Like, guys, come on, this wasn't worse than like this wasn't worse than the second Ant-Man. This wasn't worse than you know what I mean?
Yeah, so there's so many. I hate to say it, like I probably like this one. Like since about Black Widow or whatever, this is probably my favorite one out of the ones in the last couple of years. I probably liked it that much.
I probably liked, as far as Phase 4 goes, probably for me, Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh yeah, no, I take that back. Well, that's the one I always feel like that. For some reason, Spider-Man always feels like it fits in a different kind of like frame as everything else. But yeah, no, definitely, no, that one's definitely kind of is. But like, this one I thought was really solid. I feel like also too, there's just like, let's be honest, there's just always like the little bitches out there that it doesn't matter what they threw out there, they're just gonna hate anyways. I feel like they'll just never be satisfied, and they just like to yell at movies. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's almost to that point where those kind of people, it's just like, you know what, just take the fucking projector away from them. Like, you know, if they're not gonna like it, they don't deserve it. You know what I mean? Like, just let them go do their thing.
Well, it's one of those things. Like, I'm not gonna lie. There are some of the criticisms I heard. I'm like, I kind of get it, but at the same time, it just didn't bother me. You know what I mean? There's some people it bother. You know, I guess it's one of those things because I feel like it's not the best Marvel movie, but I do think it's a fun Marvel movie, and that's all I'm really asking for a Marvel movie at the end of the day. It's just for it to be fun and to be well paced, and it was mostly well paced aside from that one particular lull. But yeah, you know, I like this one. I mean, as far as like more recent films, probably from like, you know, Phase 4 up to this point, probably like Spider-Man No Way Home, Black Panther 2, then probably this one, then Shang-Chi, and the rest I have to really think about for a minute. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did like Black Widow. That was the one that I ironically liked more than I would have ever thought I would have. But it's got kind of maybe because I probably just because I like the Russianness of it. Like I'm always going to be sold more if there's like Russian stuff in it.
Anything that makes you feel like you're playing like
Red Alert.
Red Alert. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's one of those ones like it's that thing that like it's one of those weird ones. You literally put like a Soviet sign on like the movie cover or a story cover or something like that. I'm already interested. I'm like, this is gonna be interesting. You know what I mean? Like I'm like one of those people there. It's like, you know, the same way that some people like when they see like World War II stuff, they're like, I don't care what the story is, I'm 100% in. Like I feel like if I see anything that has that kind of Cold War vibe to it, even if it's in the modern times, I'm like, I'm there. Like I want to see how this goes.
Yeah, no. Well, apparently a bunch of those characters from that one are going to be in the Thunderbolts from Black Widow. Russian cool. Captain America. Yeah.
Yeah. As I said, I like that one. I like those characters in there and so on like that. And for the fact that I was never the biggest Scarlett Johansson fan, I felt like that's where that movie kind of like, wow, like I actually like this one quite a bit. And that's like that was my least favorite Avengers character, not Black Widow herself, but just Scarlett Johansson. And she, as I said, she got better. She got better as those movies went on.
Least favorite Avenger, Scarlett Johansson. Black Widow. No, Scarlett Johansson.
No, wrong Black Widow. I actually like Black Widow quite a bit, but Scarlett Johansson. But yeah, So, as I said, good stuff coming forward from both Marvel, DC, and all the other people out there and so on like that. We got a fun year of movies and so on. But, yeah, all that other good stuff. I guess we could kind of wrap it up here. You know, you go check out Pizza Boys. There's issue 13, the newest one. That's up there. Go to oldmanorange.com to find the links. It's on Global Comics, Amazon, Kindle /Comixology, and all that other fun stuff. Coming to Indie Planet and prints at some point. But go to oldmanorange.com. Check out that. Check out the old podcasts, old animations, all that fun stuff. Till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
And we'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.